and welcome into the JUCO Rush. I am Mike Frazier. He's Robert Williamson. This is the JUCO Rush powered by Pepsi. Allen Beverages down in Gulfport, Mississippi. Proud supporters of JUCO athletics. They respect the junior college education as well as the successes and the opportunities that are provided on the field. That is Pepsi. Allen Beverages down in Gulfport. Refreshingly local since 1947. Robert Williams, how are you?
I'm doing great. Mike, what a weekend of football. I got to admit, I was saying Tyler, Texas, best 2-loss team in the country. They're a 3-loss team, knocked off by Navarro.
That's right. So goes life in the SWJCFC. They just beat each other up every year.
Could play again, I guess, though, when you get into the postseason.
That's right. They sure can. You know, in that postseason, you look at the numbers, a lot of 1-loss teams and a handful of 2-loss teams with a shot, Robert. Iowa Western, Hutch, Northwest, Gulf Coast, Georgia Military, all 1-loss teams. The 2-loss teams are Coffeyville, East Central, Holmes, Lackawanna, Kilgore, Navarro, Snow, another one with 2-loss teams, with 2 losses. And what makes it really interesting here, what's going to make it interesting is, you know, you look at some of these 2-loss teams. If a Mississippi team wins the conference championship as a 2-loss team, I'm not certain they're going to get into that NJCAA first 4.
I think you are right. Now, I'm going to stick with my earlier predictions that everybody would suffer a loss and that the 4 teams that get in would only have 1 loss. But as you mentioned, in Mississippi, you've got 2 1-loss teams playing one another in the first round of the Mississippi playoffs. So that means that there will be only a potential of 1 1-loss team coming out, and it improves the odds that a 2-loss team could represent Mississippi. So would that mean Mississippi is represented in the Final Four? I'm leaning towards no.
I don't think a 2-loss team from Mississippi is going to get in either. I think if you're Snow, that's the traffic in front of you that you have to clear. You know, Snow's a 2-loss team. Georgia Military, they're really in a tough spot. They got to play Lackawanna. They lose that game, 2 losses, they may be knocked out of it. You know, so, man, it's another pivotal weekend in NJCAA football.
Oh, indeed, and I think Georgia Military, if they lose, they are out of the top 4. Taking on a Lackawanna team they've already played this year, but played them in Georgia. They're playing them in Pennsylvania this week, and that's been a little tougher for them. They have won there, but they haven't won with consistency.
No, and Lackawanna, earlier in the year, they lose to Snow 43-40. Boy, does that loss Lackawanna incurred loom large now on the schedule. Let's take a look at the NJCAA top 15. And there you see Iowa Western still number 1. What jumps out at you, Robert?
That drop by Holmes all the way down to the 12th spot. East Central moves to the 8th spot. You still got a lot of Mississippi teams in there. So I really don't think any big surprises. Maybe 2 Coffeyville coming in because of that forfeiture, so to speak, loss that was to Garden City is now a win. So maybe those are the things that stick out most.
Yeah, Navarro in a good spot as well in the NJCAA poll. Let's take a look at our JUCO Rush top 6. Our first 4 in and the 2 banging on the door. For me, Iowa Western and Hutch, that remains the same. I've got Georgia Military at number 3. 4 is Mississippi Gulf Coast. I like Northwest at 5. East Central at 6. And keep in mind, Gulf Coast and Northwest and East Central and Holmes will start shaking each other out because their playoffs down in the SIP start this weekend.
And we've got the same top 6. We just don't have them in the same order. I've got Iowa Western as 1. Georgia Military is number 2, which, by the way, Mike, they should be over Hutch because did you see what happened to Butler, who beat Hutch, knocked him off of that lofty unbeaten perch? They got spanked over the weekend by Iowa Western. I've got 3, Mississippi Gulf Coast. Hutch drops to 4. Actually, it stays there from a week ago for me. Northwest 5, East Central 6. Can I confess that I did struggle with putting 3 Mississippi teams in the top 6? But if you've got 3 Mississippi teams worthy of the top 6, you can't really penalize them because they're all from the same conference.
Well, and there's 14 teams that play in the conference too, so that factors in. But look, I want to go back to what you said. If Hutchinson and Georgia Military played, I would feel very good taking Hutchinson in that football game. That's why they're number 2.
Okay. Hutch played Iowa Western, did beat them by a puny little margin. And then Iowa Western did beat Georgia Military by a puny little margin. I can live with that. But what about the fact that Butler got manhandled by Iowa Western, which barely beat Georgia Military College, and Butler knocked off Hutch?
Well, I just don't, Butler they don't really have an offensive identity. They lack at the quarterback slot. So I don't think that that's that big of a deal. I mean, Kansas. Now the other side with Butler is, look, they won. They were able to pick up a quality win and knock it off Hutchinson. That's the depth of that Kansas conference. But see, that goes to my point. Is I don't compare what other teams did. That was a conference game, and you look at Hutchinson's roster. You look at what Drew Dallas has done. What is he, 47-4 since he's been there? I mean, the guy wins. And again, I'm not slighting Rob Manchester. I'm a big fan of Rob Manchester. I've stated that multiple times. I like that man. But being at the 3 slot, I think Rob is comfortable with that. Rob knows that if he wins, he's going to host a playoff game because NJCAA has him at number 2. I just think Hutch is a better football team overall over Georgia Military.
I think Georgia Military College is a better football team overall than Hutch.
Why Gulf Coast over Hutch on your column?
Well, and to me, that's a legitimate question, but we know that where the polling is concerned, a loss early in the year you can overcome that versus a late loss in the season. And Hutch, first of all, that's the timing of the loss to Butler. Mississippi Gulf Coast, their only loss was to an East Central team, which, by the way, winds up being the number 1 team in the South in Mississippi. The Hutch loss was to that Butler team again. They got beat pretty badly by Iowa Western and was a 12 through 15 team when they knocked off Hutch. So you consider those factors. I'm putting the Bulldogs ahead of the Blue Dragons.
But Samari Collier was out of that football game and the Hutch lost to Butler. You don't factor that in?
No. I mean, every team has had players that had to sit. Georgia Military had Chip Cooper out for about 2 or 3 ball games this season because of an injury. And I'm sure there were other teams as well that have had players had to sit, key personnel that had to sit, and they had to deal with it. They had to put the talent on the field to try to win the football game. In the case of Georgia Military, they did. In the case of Hutch, they did not.
See, I think where we differ is I just go full body of work, the strength of schedule, what's in there. And to me, Hutchinson checks all the boxes for me. They've got the tradition, they've got the history, they've got the coach that's won, they've got the key quarterback, they've got the key running back, and they've got plenty of defensive parts that make them very formidable. My concern with Georgia Military is and again, it's not a slam, man. It is what it is. They just play some prep teams, but they have to. I understand that. It's a scheduling thing. So, but that being said,
you see this number?
I'm just always, was it?
See that number?
Well, one loss.
They played 1 prep team.
Yeah. You're right. Okay. All right. Let's take a look at our players of the week. I'm going to go first. All right, Rob, I'm going to kick it off.
All right.
I'm going to go with that man right there, Hunter Dekkers. Threw for 404 yards, 31 for 43, 404 yards, 3 touchdowns in the win over Butler. Iowa Western in great shape to be the number 1 seed here with 2 games to go. And then my second guy, I'm going down to Mississippi. I've been watching this guy for a few weeks, and it's good to see him finish strong. DeAndre Jackson, 12 catches, 164 yards, 3 touchdowns for the Colin Wolves.
Hard not to go with Dekkers and Jackson. I am going with Jackson, not Dekkers, and I guess just because I keep warning Dekkers player of the week, DeAndre Jackson, as you mentioned, had a great night, 164 yards, 57 was his long, 3 touchdowns to boot. But I am also going to the defensive side.
Going to Texas.
Player of the week from Trinity Valley. This is Noah Flemings, Flemings against Northeastern Oklahoma A&M in that 44-21 win, had 15 tackles, 10 solos, 5 assists, 2 tackles for a loss, 1 forced fumble, 2 quarterback hurries. And in my book, that qualifies you as the player of the week.
And to our players of the week, this Pepsi is for you guys. Pepsi, a proud sponsor of the JUCO Rush, proud supporters of junior college athletics and a community college education. Yeah, I like those players of the week. Those are two solid guys. All right, let's go to our player feature. Our guy this time, we're going to Mississippi Northwest with a big football game against Gulf Coast. The leading rusher right now, 1,068 yards. Demarian Perteet, the running back for the Northwest Rangers, joined the JUCO Rush. Demarian, got to ask you the first question that comes to mind for me. 204 touches this year. You've only fumbled 1 time. How have you been such a great player with ball protection?
Yeah, I would say it'll go back to my high school coach. Like, he stressed to me, ball security, job security. So, like, if you ain't protecting the ball, you don't have a job. So my thing is just, trying to keep it high and tight at all times, like even through contact, both hands on the ball, things like that to try to, make sure that I hold on to it at all times.
Demarian, you've carried the ball 10 times in a ball game. You've carried the ball as many times as 30. Is there a sweet spot somewhere in between, or are you one of these guys who's like, hey, man, give it to me as often as you want?
You can give it to me as often as you want to.
Well, you're taking on Mississippi Gulf Coast in the first round of the playoffs, and you are at your house. So are you more comfortable? Is the routine different for you at a home game versus a road trip?
Nah, I pretty much do the same thing. So I don't have class on Thursday. So for the most part, I'm asleep. So if it's a away game, I'm asleep most of the day. If it's a home game, I'm gonna try to sleep most of the day. And so when I wake up, I'm ready to play ball. I ain't had much time to think about nothing else but football.
Demarian, you're going up against a pretty good defense here, but your offensive line's pretty stout. When you get the football, what are you looking for in the holes? Are you looking for certain linemen on a consistent basis to free it for you? How are you able to have that big burst of speed that gets you chunks of yards?
For the most part, it's mostly reads, I would say, and just the understanding that me and my teammates have. So I trust in most of them that they're gonna make their block, all of them that they're gonna make their block, and they just help me elevate my game so I can make sure that I make the right read.
What's your best asset from a running back standpoint? Do you see it well? Do you pivot well? What is it?
I would say that I see it well for one, and my agility and my strength. Those are 3 best assets in my game.
You look at the program there. You just picked up another North Division championship. It's a proud program over in Senatobia. What were the key factors that sealed the deal for you to want to go play at Northwest?
Oh, good question. I seen the previous year that they make good running backs, and Northwest is gonna run the football. They big on that, so that sealed the deal for me coming to Northwest.
What do you see on film on Gulf Coast this week? What are you looking for?
A cutback. The cutback gonna be explosive. We can get them flowing and get the linebacker flowing. The cutback is gonna be there this week for a big play.
And then last question for you on the offensive side of the ball. What are you preparing to do? What's without tipping your hand on the game plan? What are you looking to try to execute Saturday night?
We got to execute. We got to catch the ball. We got to block good. We got to make sure that everybody is a head on the head, and we should win the football game.
Man, fantastic, Demarian. Man, it's been a genuine pleasure to watch you play and perform on a weekly basis, partner. You lead the country in rushing. You're a strong candidate for the JUCO Weekly Trophy. And, man, it's been just a genuine pleasure to watch you play, man. Good luck to you. Wish you all the health in the world and finish strong, okay, young man?
All right, thank you. Appreciate it.
It's Demarian Perteet, running back for Northwest Mississippi Community College. And there he is. That's the man right there, Demarion Perteet. Just a terrific job. Leads the country in rushing, Robert. Gets it done week in and week out.
And a good kid to boot. Man, we just keep introducing these guys that are good kids. And yeah, hanging on to the football, man. In key critical situations, now you got kind of a double bonus because you know you got a guy that can run the football and do it extremely well, but you also know you got a guy who can break it big but hang on to the football.
And he has done that. And you do it at this level. The guys are hungry. They're coming after you every play. 204 touches, just one fumble. Leads the country in rushing. This is the JUCO Rush.
Want your team or business to truly stand out? Look no further than Sport FX Designs. They specialize in high-impact sport graphics that demand attention, whether it's custom animated logos, sleek animations, or full branding solutions. Sport FX Designs delivers professional, eye-catching visuals that elevate your brand. Head over to www.sportfxdesigns.com and see how they can bring your vision to life.
All right, let's take a look at the JUCO Weekly Trophy contenders. These are just a few of the guys, not the finalists. I've got my 5 here. You'll see some of the same names: Hunter Dekkers, Waymon Jordan, Demarion Perteet, J.P. Coulter, and then Darian getting it done. White there for Tyler, just making it happen. Tough linebacker there for the Apaches.
And for me, same 5 that I had a week ago, and the reason is it can't penalize guys that didn't play, Waymon Jordan or Keenan Phillips, who only had a couple of carries, by the way, for 60 yards. Darian White, maybe a slightly off day for him, 9 tackles instead of the usual 11 or 12, but he did pick off a pass for 21 yards. Demarion Perteet, 128 yards on the ground. Hunter Dekkers, you've already talked about him, 400 yards through the air. So, hey, I'm sticking with my same 5 from 7 days ago.
Yeah, and the criteria, some of us will get emails. People ask, what's the criteria on it? So we'll love to tell you here on the JUCO Rush podcast. To qualify as one of the finalists for the JUCO Weekly Trophy, it is based off player stats, impact to team, and then also the strength of schedule. Those are the 3 categories on that. One guy that fits that mold there is the quarterback for Iowa Western. That was Hunter Dekkers, and he sat down with the JUCO Rush. Hunter, quality win. Again, you guys go down on the road, you knock off Garden City, then you continue the train, you continue rolling again. Man, you guys are in really good shape. The number 1 team in the country, and really the tough part of your schedule, the toughest part of your schedule is behind you. You guys have to be feeling good.
Yeah, we've been feeling really good, to be honest. I feel like the last 2 games have been our most complete games as a team. So, I mean, that's really good to see, knowing late in the year we're getting better still. So I would say for us, I mean, we're just confident and excited to play the next week.
Hunter, I don't want to rehash what got you out of the NCAA. As a matter of fact, I think people have done worse and probably suffered less. So you have paid your dues. When you were deciding that you wanted, obviously, to continue your football playing career, what were your options and what prompted you to take the NJCAA option?
To be honest, I had a very, what was going to happen from May all the way up until February. So basically a whole year span, I had no idea what I could even do because I had no answer from the NCAA yet. So when I found out in February of this year, I just told myself, well, no matter what the outcome is, like, I just want to play football again. And after I got my answer, I got the outcome, I found out that this was an option for me, and I told myself I don't care if there's another option. I'm just gonna go play football. So that's kind of how I ended up here.
Like the option? I mean, do you like your choice that you've made?
Yeah, I love it. I love it.
You played, I think it was Georgia Military in your first ball game back. So you sat out for a year. Kind of take me back to that Georgia Military game where for the first time you walk out onto the field and are playing competitive football again?
Yeah, to be honest, the only word I can say is like grateful. Like I couldn't be more grateful to be back out on the field. Um, Obviously I wouldn't even say there was nerves. I would just say it was like chills. Like I got chills in my body when I stepped back out on that field for the first time. Like having to go what I went through for a full season, for a full year, and then being able to finally get back on the field, it was something I could never experience again, for sure.
Yeah, Hunter, that year off in between, what did you do to stay in football shape and to keep zoning and honing in on your skill set?
Yeah. To be honest, I was just doing I stayed at home. I just did online class from Iowa State. So I did a lot of working out just at the high school and then throwing at the high school football field. Like it really wasn't, I didn't train with anyone. Like it was a lot of just me doing it all by myself.
You know, this football team has a rich tradition in winning. First of all, back-to-back national champs. Their history is historic, with only being around in the NJCAA for a very short time. You hitched your wagon to a winner in many aspects, in Scott Strohmeyer and his staff. How has the development been working for you under that guidance and in a program that expects to win every year?
Yeah. To be honest, in my opinion, this is the best JUCO coaching staff you could get. These guys truly care about who you are as a person and a player. They try to help you become the best person and football player you can while your time is here, and they hold you to a standard like you're at a 4-year school. To be honest, like they don't let stuff slide. They don't do any of that stuff. So it's been really cool to see. Obviously, going to the level I was at, I had JUCO kids come in whenever I was at Iowa State, and they would always tell me stories about when they were there. So coming here, I didn't really know what to expect. And after being here, it's completely different than what some JUCOs talked about how they were at their places, for sure.
What was the experience like against Hutchinson? That was a great football game, went to overtime. They're another storied program.
Yeah, I just think it was two good football teams playing against each other. Football's a game of inches, and when you play a good team like that, that's what it comes down to. And at the end of the day, we lost the game of inches in that game.
Well, you know, you're a finalist, or you're one of the contenders, I should say, for the JUCO Weekly Trophy, man. You've been on that list pretty much the whole year, which is an award that goes out to the best football player in the country, and a lot of stiff competition this year. Your just overall take of the NJCAA experience on the field. What do you see, being that you played at a high level position at the Division I level, and then you come down here and play?
Yeah, to be honest, at the JUCO level, it's just a bunch of talented football players still. I mean, it's obviously, I wouldn't say it's much less than the next level. Like obviously, you have really good football players here, so it's been really good at my time being here.
All right, Hunter, man, thanks for jumping on the JUCO Rush. We wish you continued success. Stay healthy, and you take care.
I appreciate it. You guys as well.
And you see there, Robert, what he said. A lot of talented JUCO players play at this level. We've been preaching that for a long time. That's why we started this podcast. These guys are hungry. They got that eye of the tiger. And that guy right there, who's a future NFL football player, just said exactly that.
Oh, yeah. And how many names have you got to recite to explain and accentuate that point? I mean, there are a plenty of NFL rostered guys as we speak that started at the junior college level. And this guy, I got a feeling, might be on an NFL roster soon.
Yeah, you're right about that. And hey, here's to you guys. Hunter, this Pepsi's for you. Big D, Demarion Perteet, this Pepsi is for you as well. Allen Beverages down in Gulfport, proud supporters of junior college athletics, and they also respect the community college education. All right, Robert, key games of the week as we wrap up the JUCO Rush. I'm going to go first this time. Holmes and East Central. You know, Holmes has lost 2 straight. Tough to get on that train with a team that's lost 2 straight. Plus, Jonathan Webster, I had East Central being the number 2 seed this year out of that South Conference, or South Division in that conference in Mississippi. They're the number 1 seed. I'm taking East Central at home against Holmes. Gulf Coast, Northwest, 2 proud programs. Got to pick somebody. I think Mississippi Gulf Coast is a little bit more balanced, and playing on the road won't affect that team. They've played in a ton of big games that is irrelevant.
And for me, I've got one of your games, Northwest and Gulf Coast, and then the Bulldogs and Lackawanna. Hey, we could have picked all Mississippi games because they are so key. I, like you, am going with the Bulldogs over Northwest, where Georgia Military and Lackawanna is concerned. Had to pick this one because of its impact on the national scene. Georgia Military, number 2, Lackawanna 9. If GMC loses, I think they're out of the top 4. I'm picking the Bulldogs, though, to win it.
Look, of the 4 games that I'm watching this weekend, the 2 Mississippi playoff games, I'm watching that Georgia Military Lackawanna game. Those are 3 of the 4. I mean, these are going to be great football games. Robert, another great show. Enjoyed it. And we'll talk to you next week. This has been the JUCO Rush. He's Robert Williamson. I'm Mike Frazier. So long, everybody.